am Keith Arem. I'm the president of PCB Productions in Los Angeles. We run recording studios for video games, for movies, for television, for mobile, and we're now developing our own original content that's going to be coming out in movie theaters and in all those other formats. I'm here down at the Bogota Music Festival talking to musicians and managers and people looking to get into different aspects of the music industry, specifically for video games. I've been working in video games for over 20 years. I work on the Call of Duty franchise and Titanfall and Spider-Man and Transformers and almost any video game you see out there. I have friends or I like to work in those places, and so hopefully I can give you guys a few tips of things that I've learned along the way, and hopefully that can help you guys get into the same industry. I began playing professionally in the music industry when I was 14 years old and started working as a recording artist when I was just out of college. So as a musician, some of the points that I can kind of help you out with is the first thing is just not to be scared when you're looking at video games. Video games, I think a lot of people are intimidated because they're computers and they're digital, and people are very scared about working in an area that they don't know about. And starting in the music industry, when I was touring with my band, we were playing video games at the back of our tour bus. So I think having a passion for video games and storytelling and be able to express your music in another way is the first step in getting your music out there. And I think that if you can tell a story in your music, you can tell a story in video games. So one of the questions I get asked all the time is, how do you get into doing music for video games? And I think that the first tip that I give people is to make sure that people can hear your music but not feel threatened by your approach. Having an album, having a CD, having music online is a great way for people to listen to your music on their own time. So many music producers and people in games are overwhelmed with so many different aspects of production that sometimes when they have 100 musicians coming to them with their music, it can be a little overwhelming. So I always advise musicians to be patient, be friendly, and to let people discover your music as opposed to you telling them how good it is. It's always wonderful to be proud about the music that you're creating, but it's also, it seems a little selfish sometimes if you are saying how good you are. So sometimes when people find your music, it becomes a little bit better. Also for the negotiations down the road, they feel that they discovered you and they want to approach you as opposed to you saying, I have to be in your video game. So another question I get asked all the time is, what do game producers want? What do people want in their video games? What styles of music work? And my first answer to that is every game is different, and having an understanding of what games are and what types of games are out there will sort of help you understand what people are looking for. For big video games that are consoles like Call of Duty and Titanfall, sometimes these games are 10 or 15 hours long and they're very cinematic and they play out almost like a movie. So a lot of times we're looking for very cinematic scores, people who can score music as if they're scoring a movie. And we use real orchestras, we use real choirs, and we use very talented musicians who have a very unique style that sort of conveys that cinematic approach. And I think that understanding that is the first step in understanding what we're looking for. Now you're seeing an explosion in mobile and casual and social games that are looking for short form content, and that is looking for music that's going to evoke a certain particular kind of emotion for that kind of game. So if you're playing a chess game, you might not want heavy metal in a chess game. You might want a classical piece. So I think that understanding the style of music that you're creating will help you guide to who you're approaching with your music. And you never know, someone may discover you and decide that they want to use an unusual style of music in their game, and that's always their creative choice. But for you, I think understanding the sort of the type of games that are out there will help you sort of guide the styles that they're looking for. I think one of the things that musicians should be careful to avoid is to become overly needy on the game developers to guiding them through the process. A lot of game developers are dealing with programming issues and design issues and art issues, and one of the things they don't want are musicians constantly coming to them with problems or trying to have them educate them to explain how to get their music into the games. So one of the things I would avoid is going directly to the people that are hiring or licensing the music and asking them for that same work. Sometimes they're very accommodating, but they're so busy that you really want to avoid that. One thing I would suggest is to find people who work in the game industry who specialize in music implementation or music producers who already work with other game developers and help understand what they're looking for or how they're getting the music into the game there, as opposed to approaching the games and the companies directly. Especially in Colombia and Bogota, there's so many great companies that are coming up and the business is exploding right now, and they're finding this new wealth of entertainment opportunities, and the best idea is to learn about those opportunities away from them, and then that way when you approach them, you already know what they're looking for. So another thing to consider is how to market yourself. How do you approach game companies and other companies to get your music heard? Obviously, as I mentioned in some of my other tips, coming out to somebody with a CD is a great way for them to receive it personally, but also you want them to be able to discover your music on their own. So having really great social media access, having Facebook and other types of ways that people can visit, having your own dedicated website so people can find your music is a very powerful way for people to explore and experience your music, especially when they're back in their office and they want to show it for someone else. A lot of times the people that you meet are not the right people that are going to be working with your music down the road. So you want those people to be able to take it to their boss, play it for them on their own time, and their boss, who is even more busy, is going to want to listen to that on their own time and make a decision. So promoting yourself through social media and other ways is a really great way. It benefits both you and your audience because it bolsters how many people are sort of finding you in the world, but it also allows people to hear about you and find your music and experience it and discover it for themselves. One of the most fantastic and the best things I've seen that's happening in Bogota and throughout Colombia is what the Chamber of Commerce is doing by encouraging and promoting clusters of different groups coming together to be able to promote and to be able to expose different industries to work together. And by having the game industry and the music industry introducing themselves to each other and working, new opportunities are coming out every day, and I think that it's an amazing opportunity. I would encourage you to get involved, to become part of these clusters, and to work with the Chamber of Commerce to be able to find new opportunities to be introduced to other game companies, to other people working in that industry, and other musicians who can also help educate you in terms of learning how the game industry works. So enjoy your travels in the game industry, and hopefully we'll see you on the next project. Take care.